This is institutional energy, kind of institutional energy. Prisons, hospitals. Hello, hello, hello. This is G. It's time to talk all astrology. And we are looking at April. We're looking at April 29th. Holy shit. Water, food, clothing, a home, a safe space. Venus. She's here somewhere. I got Venus up here for a reason. This video, we're going to look at the chart for April 29th. April 29th. And we're going to have Venus squaring Pluto. Venus is like big in this week's chart, actually. She comes up quite a few times. Of course, it's not all. There's other things too, but Venus represents our values, right? Our desires, right? Maybe not so much our needs. However, she is like our creature comforts. It's desire energy, but at the same time, when we talk creature comforts, right? We're thinking the money in the bank, and then what do I do with my money in the bank? First of all, how do I get that money in the bank? I got to work for it, right? So it's my income. And then we ask ourselves, well, what do we do with it once we have it, right? Well, we're buying the things, right? We go and we buy our food, or maybe we're growing our food. But either way, the money's got to come from somewhere. We got to get the seeds. We got to get the garden going. However it is you do it, however you acquire, however you feed yourself. Some people don't do all those things at all. Some people might be like, no, I'm horrible in the kitchen. I go out to eat every day, at least once a day or whatever. I just do breakfast at home because, well, that's the only thing I know how to make. Whatever it is. The money in the bank and the job, your finances, it all is associated with the needs, right? We always talk about Venus, my love, what I love, who I love, my money, my self-worth, my values. But creature comforts I feel like since the pandemic, that it's almost as though we've become hyper aware of all the Venus themes, because she's also the earth, the planet, the health of the planet, the health of the earth, the vegetation, the animals, the water. Like it's the freaking earth, right? So it's everything on the planet. So Venus energy is pretty complex, and it seems to be the underlying factor connected to everything in our world, in our life, really. And it's the next 7 days. So yes, we're going to go all the way to May 6th, and then I'm going to have a bonus mention on April 7th. So if we go and take a look at the beginning of the week, you see I've got the 29th marked here. Yep, 29th is marked because it's Venus at 29 degrees in Aries. And we always mention critical degrees, right? Because normally they represent extreme energy. So if Venus is about the values, right, it is feminine energy. But if it's about the values, it can be food, it can be food security, right? It can be love, it can be banking, both of those things. It can be the earth, everything I talked about. It can be all of those, not one or the other, right? All of them. It's 29 degrees in Aries. So if it's 29 in Aries, Aries can be, I'm starting something. There's something new here, a new value. Venus at 29 in Aries. Extreme degree, something we'll likely understand and see and hear about, talk about maybe even. There might be a little bit of a feeling, a little fired up feeling, right? Aries is very fiery, wants to lead in some way, pretty speedy, right? So it is known to be the initiator, even the like the first one out of the gate, or first one over the land and in the territory. And I often use the word like the pioneer, right? Like, hey, we went there first, right? We got there first. The other thing about Aries is we think of the military. When we think Aries, it's soldier energy, right? These are the soldiers, right? Yeah, soldiers. So war, battles, people who carry weapons. So this can be police, and it can be someone who's, authorized to carry a weapon. It can also be someone who's unauthorized to carry a weapon, right? And so what do you see right below that? You see Mars at 29 degrees, right? Mars 29 degrees in Pisces. Well, Mars is the ruler of Aries. So, like when you connect these dots, Aries and then a value, a love for something, a desire for something. Mars is all about your physical body and taking action. Mars at 29 in Pisces. Remember I said about soldier, Pisces and Mars, we think spiritual activity, right? We think serving and service and sacrifice. And so hopefully this can be people receiving things that they need, medicine, Pisces, substances and goods. I think I talked quite a bit about this in the last video, right? I was mentioning whether it's you can think of different organizations that show up during times of tragedy, right? I can't say necessarily the American Red Cross, but if there's some sort of a natural disaster, American Red Cross shows up. If you got some and you can give me the ideas and help people to understand, put them in the comments below. This can be like the Navy, right? Because it's water and we're showing like soldier energy. They're supposed to be building a way for supplies to be delivered in a more dependable long-term solution, right? For Gaza specifically. And so at the extreme degree on the 29th, that's a lot of 29s right there, right? So for those of you out there who are all into the numbers, right? All you numerologists, or maybe even being a little risky, possibly. It's Leo, so it likes laughter and fun. And when I think laughter and fun, well, I think entertainers. Entertainers. Back in the day when the United States was involved in like, especially like World War II, we would have performers, right, who were always traveling to entertain the troops, right? They would go overseas and they would entertain the troops. That was a big thing. You can even go onto YouTube and hear recordings of all their, I shouldn't say all, but of many of their performances and just the quick little conversations and the things they would say to the troops because they were trying to raise morale, right? These are folks who aren't home for Christmas and stuff like that. And not that that doesn't happen now, but you just don't hear about that now. People go away, they go to battle, they fight, and all we hear about is the killing and the dead, like so and so died today, or such and such from such and such location is dead and or shot down a helicopter or whatever it is. We never, at least I don't, and maybe I could be out of touch. That would be that would make sense because I'm a bit out of touch. But we think of people who could be serving in some way, right? A spiritual way, because it's Pisces, right? So we also can think of like delivering food, right? When I mentioned the building of the bridge or building of a pier or building something to create food security. That's a possibility. Money is Venus as well, right? Yeah. But that 29 degrees, when you think Leo energy and the entertainment industry, I also think about public figures, right? Like the show must go on or the grand show. So this is music and it is actors and actresses as well. It's people who literally perform. Okay. So in US, being an election year, a very huge election year, um, yeah, makes sense. We can already be like, yeah, sure. Okay, great. But somebody who really is like the ultimate entertainer. So a bit dramatic. It's strong Leo energy. And at 29, Leo, but then we even know the big loyal Leo, royal Leo degree, the 29 degrees in Leo. How many times have we talked about Regulus? Oh my God, the person who just thinks they're the king of the jungle, the authority figure. There is nobody above them, right? So we think the sun, an authority figure, because of Leo energy. All right. All right. So we go to the next day, the 30th. And but the 30th, because it just blends together so fast, it's Venus again and Mars. So obviously, if they were at 29, Mars is at 29 for a few days. I'm gonna be honest, right? Like, this is the 29th. Mars would have been at 29 degrees for a couple of days, at maybe 3 days even. So we're talking like 27th, 28th, 29th. I mentioned this in the previous video, right? But Venus is moving fast through Aries. She's there for 1 day. So the very next day on the 30th, Mars and Venus are both now moved into new signs. So yeah, we got new energy here. Venus and Taurus. Venus and Taurus. So Venus and Taurus means she's at a low degree. And you see how I've got the square there. Venus squaring Pluto, because Pluto's at a low degree in Aquarius. Aquarius is a fixed sign. Taurus is a fixed sign. So these square each other. All right. Mars, on the other hand, has now entered Aries. Mars rules Aries. Yes, Mars rules Aries. So it's very active energy. It can definitely include weapons. It might be soldiers, right? It's definitely assertive, might be a little aggressive, might be a bit impatient. So think about this in your life. Think about where the Aries energy is in your chart as an example. I'll give you my chart, Aries in the 12th house. So for me, having the Aries in the 12th, at 12th is the subconscious. So however my Aries energy is, the youthfulness, the impatience, the childlike qualities, the irritability, right? The ego, it's hidden from me. Like, there are times when my ego will just be like really poofed out, and I might not even be aware of it. Like, so that would be maybe some things I say where it's like, get a load of that. Get a load of what that person just said, right? Or the impatience, right? I find sometimes I get, I'm not, I don't get out much, seriously. So my experience with impatience is every blue moon, there will be someone on the channel who might say something, um, just something where, um, that just doesn't, I find it irritating, to be honest, because, I don't know how many times I will say, if you need your chart, I need your birth digits, your full birth digits, and then I'll get people sending me information to the email and saying things like, uh, "You never sent me my chart." And it's like, "You never gave me your birth digits." And so it's stuff like that where I just, like, I don't know how many more times I could say it, right? And still there's always going to be somebody. And then just on certain days, like, my Aries energy is just feels like flashing a giant middle finger. You know what I'm saying? It just feels like being like, "You know what? Yeah, you know what?" That's what, damn it. Or what else? The girls, Taffy and Zoe, sometimes they will tag team me. They do it a lot. They tag team my ass all the time. What I mean is we'll either play, or I'm brushing one, and they'll be jealous, right? So only one cat at a time will be near me. And so I'm brushing, and as soon as I'm done with the one cat, the other one will come up right behind. I mean, like, right behind. And usually I'm in the middle of editing a video or something, or whatever I'm doing, and so they'll jump up. One of them will jump up and kind of interrupt me. So I'll be like, okay, let's give you a rub. Let's give you a back rub. Let's brush you. And then they're done, and then they leave. Or yeah, that would be Taffy. Zoe, on the other hand, would be just constantly meowing at me. Right? I mean, really, because my hands will stop. She'll start meowing, and then she'll just stare at my hands, my fingers, literally staring at my hand. I'll even take my hands and, like, hide them around behind my back to see what she does. And then she's like looking, like, where did the hands go? Like, those should be on my fur. Where's my rub down? Damn it, But it sometimes gets a little wacky. It's like, enough is enough. And it gets, yeah. Anyway, so sometimes my patience will definitely run out with that. And I am sure those examples are really, uh I don't know, super minuscule compared to, like, when I was raising babies, when there's children in the house. Holy shit, that was a whole different thing altogether. So you parents out there, I'm sure you could give some really great examples, but I haven't had to raise a baby in many years. I haven't had to do any of that. And yeah, leave your examples below, because boy, childlike energy is Aries. and can get super impatient and can get angry. It is anger energy. When we talk about anger management, think Mars because it rules not just Aries, it rules Scorpio. Like this planet, I don't want to say it gets a bad rap, but I do want to say that because let's put it like this. If a flower blooms, right? A flower blooms and it's the flower or the seed or however that you planted, right? You put the bulbs in the ground. We'll put it like that. You put the bulbs in the ground, and spring comes around or whenever the hell it's supposed to come up, and it pops up. And when it pops up, it happens to be uh, it's an orange marigold. So the thing is, once the marigolds came up, you're not going to be angry because they didn't bloom purple or they weren't, you know, red or they didn't come up black, or they didn't come up with like yellow petals, right? No, they came up orange because that's what we put in the ground. That's what they were supposed to do. That's what they were born to do. They were born to pop up orange and to spread their marigold type of whatever essence to keep away the bugs. So there was a purpose behind it, and that's Mars, right? It's born for war. So that energy, super combative, fearless, it's the one that rushes into the fire. It does it's because it's super impulsive, right? So whether it's fearless or it lacks thought, right? It's learning to develop its mind, right? Because it's very short-sighted. It doesn't think long term. It doesn't think, "Oh my god, if I run into that fire, I could die." No, it thinks, "Holy shit, I gotta get in there. Somebody's in there. There's someone in there. I can get them out." And that's it. It doesn't it might not even have that thought. It might just impulsively, spontaneously burst and go. And that is Mars energy, you see. So, Mars in Aries, things could heat up. For you in your own life, find out where your Aries energy is in your chart. And then for us in the world in general, wherever, however, just remember we're all feeling the strong, assertive, aggressive Mars energy while it's in Aries. All right. So the 29th, the 30th, and the 1st, like you've got Venus squaring Pluto. Now, the Venus square Pluto, in my mind, values and banking, right? Because we're talking about Pluto, Venus is going to square Pluto, but it has to be at the 2-degree mark pretty much. Because with Pluto, you got to get right close to it. You got to get right up on it because it's such a slow mover and it's such a far away planet that those minutes matter a little bit more. All right. So the 2-degree mark is what we're going for. All right. So the number 2, right? Yeah, you're thinking banking and money, but in Aquarius, this is like big systems, global systems. For the United States, we're thinking central banking, right? The Fed, right? Big stuff. But then it goes even beyond because it's intricate, right? Whatever goes on in the United States, it's like there's a domino effect around the world with the US, right? So a change of something, but it's deeply powerful, deeply transformative on a almost a hidden level. And I don't mean hidden like ooh behind the scenes hidden, like purposely deceiving people. That's not necessarily Pluto, but it's going to show us something that's below the surface because Pluto will bring out the truth. And normally it shows us where stuff is broken and outdated, like the busted pipes in the ground. And so we think of all the ancient, antiquated systems. How about the airlines? And there's not a week that goes by now that we're not hearing about something. A wheel fell off, a door fell off, like there's a plug came out. It's like weekly we're hearing reports about this. And so the airlines for sure, right? And so it's like shit's old, right? We need to revamp some stuff. It's outdated. And that's big time what it is. Saturn rules Aquarius along with Uranus. Okay. So we've got Venus reaching that 2-degree and that square. And that's what that black line is between the Venus and the Pluto energy. What we're looking at is that 2 degrees for Pluto 2 degrees and 6 minutes for Pluto. This is where Pluto starts a retrograde at 2 degrees and 6 minutes. Now, the retrograde doesn't begin this week, but the fact that it's sitting here at this point, it doesn't go any more forward, right? Until the retrograde begins. And then it goes backwards, is what I'm saying. So there's no more forward movement. So when Pluto's sitting, or any planet is sitting, it's really powerful. It's really powerful, deeply powerful, deeply powerful. So I don't know if anybody's heard about this, but we think of partnerships. Yeah, I'm going to get to what I have written there, and I'll explain it in a minute. Maybe somebody already knows a little bit more about it than I do. But when you have a Venus squaring a Pluto, you can read up on it. And normally there's like this thing with values and love, and many times intense love, intense values. And there's this connection with history in the past because of Pluto, right? So Taurus, the earth, Uranus, Aquarius energy. You've often heard me talk about nuclear, right? And we think electricity, we think batteries, we think energy in general, alternative energy, possibly. We think new energy, right? We think of just like all these alternative modalities because it's about inventions, right? It's super creative energy, intellectually creative energy, and it's the appliances in your house, right? We think about all that stuff. So it's stuff that's science and medicine and made in a lab, right? Yeah, really deep thinkers, people who can intellectually layer knowledge and have ideas that seem to just come from out of thin air, right? Almost like this God handed down knowledge, Pluto in Aquarius. So here we have the possibility for a beginning of something really meaningful. And I'm not saying it hasn't begun yet, but for whatever reason on this chart, when I saw Venus and Pluto squaring, because I've already heard about this, but when I saw them square, I thought this is a big deal. This can be part of this. So a nuclear treaty being signed by nations that have nuclear powers. Right. And I don't know the details of it exactly. I don't know exactly how it would even work other than we understand there would be mass destruction, and so we understand like that's not necessary. Um and that, we don't want to have mass destruction, like, if I try to kill you, I'm essentially killing myself because I'm contaminating the planet type of thing. And so the idea behind this is that these nuclear powers, right, the national nuclear powers will come to some sort of an agreement about producing nuclear weapons and a limit on that or something. I don't know, something. So there's something there where it could at least give people a peace of mind, I think. And it's about our values. It's about our values and our inventive capabilities that can, you know, do more destruction than we, want to think about for sure. So that connection, that bond, this can be a possibility for the creating of that or the moving it along so that it actually becomes a serious conversation and maybe gets put into literally like a contract form where they're actually having a peace treaty. Maybe peace treaty isn't the right word, but where they're meeting and having an actual sitting down. So this could be that possibility because remember, air is thought, air is communication and thinking, it's intellect and it's ideas. And this means that this Pluto energy trines Gemini and trines Libra. So relationships, partnerships, right? So I think this can be promising, and I'm hoping that we hear more about this going forward. All right. So now we're on Mercury. Mercury, pay attention to this one, Mercury in Aries. In this chart, Mercury is at 16 degrees. And so Mercury's already moving direct, right? The retrograde's over, but it's still within the shadow zone. So it's important, right? So we got Mercury at 17 here. Between 17 and 20 degrees, Mercury will be conjunct Chiron. and that's the wounds. Remember, I mentioned this in the last video, the wounds, possibly seeing things because Mercury's the news, the talking, the information. This can also be about people, like all this stuff, combative talking, combative conversations. It can be uh, challenges to your freedom of speech, right? Or on platforms and social media. I think of the TikTok thing because of Aries and youngsters. And yeah, Mercury and Aries can become very physical, right? And so there's a lot of people who do like the music, right, with the TikTok and their little TikTok dances or jigs or whatever the hell you want to call them. So it appeals to the youth, but also the wounds. And so the wounds can literally be getting visuals of individuals who are either wounded or emaciated, like who are starving, things that you don't want to see, right? People who are innocent, people who are simply civilians, not people who are literally there to fight, but civilians. So it can be visuals of that, and that will definitely have an effect on our values. Venus. The 1st of May, the 2nd of May, and all of that I just discussed is like April 29th, April 30th to, yeah, this is all on these 2 days. So the first part of the week is kind of intense, right? April 29th is a Monday. If I forgot to do that, I apologize. Yeah. April 29th is a Monday. Yep. First 7 days, April 29th to May 6th. So it's like it's kind of intense. There's energies changing, and I don't know about you guys, but when planets move out of a sign and go into a new sign, you normally feel it. You're normally aware of it, even though you might not be able to pinpoint it and explain it. You see? Hold on, I got Miss Taffy making an appearance. Speaking of our little Venus, Miss Taffy's here. What's up? Oh, you're sleeping. She came in here because I was talking. She heard me talk. Hey, 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 hey. Don't mess with the lighting. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Turn your butt around. So Venus is squaring Pluto. I just talked about that, right? I spent a lot of time on that. I'm going to sneeze now. Hold on. Maybe not. So we go to the 2nd. Oh, I did, Tap. I sneezed. Let's get this over here. So come on. Oh, come on. She just wants to get comfy, which is fine. But she's got to sniff every little crevice before she gets comfy and make sure it's safe. It's safe, baby. It's safe. All right. So we've got, I've got Neptune here at 29 degrees in Pisces. This isn't a quick thing, this 29 degrees. So I want you to remember Jupiter, okay? Because Jupiter is a co-ruler of Pisces, and it's important. Because when we think Pisces, movie stars, sleep, dream, medicine, Hollywood, fantasy, sci-fi, right? We think make believe. We think Calgon take me away and substances and what can I do to just feel like I'm somewhere else and escape from reality, right? Pisces energy. Make believe and put on costumes or make up stories, right? Pisces energy, Neptune at 29. It sits here for a decent amount of time, right? It's a different thing. Like I'm wondering, what is this going to be like, right? Neptune at 29 degrees. So if we think about Jupiter, this can also add to more information. This is institutional energy, Pisces in general, institutional. And what kind of institutional energy? Prisons, hospitals. And so then Jupiter and its definition and meaning here can also be foreigners, across the ocean, but it can also literally be foreigners coming across the ocean, like immigration, emigration, right? And so we think Jupiter, it's also religion and spirituality and beliefs and opinions. And it is also justices. This is a big deal in the US. Justices, Supreme Court. We've got federal justices within the individual states and rulings that are going on, and just a lot of kooky, crazy stuff. And my letters are not working out. What's going on? So, yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff happening. And so I just wanted you to just remember the judicial system and justices and rulings because it's Jupiter energy. Okay. And remember, Jupiter adds to things, right? Jupiter's all about go big and go home. So it can provide, it can be beautiful and provide almost like a protective bubble. Pisces, Jupiter, right? That makes sense. So you think water, you think boats and shipping, the Navy for sure. Um, but rulings of some sort can possibly be a big deal here because it's 29 degrees. 29 degrees. Okay. So that 29 degrees, you're going to look up Pisces in your chart to better understand how that affects you in your life. Like what house number is it in for you? Because it's going to be there for a little bit of time. Okay. We're going to have a video about when Neptune does a retrograde. Um, the video has not been recorded yet because we have a little bit more time. It's going to be a couple months before it starts to retrograde off of that. Yeah. So I'm just thinking, whoa, wow. Like politics in the United States, for sure. A lot of drama in the United States with the politics, for sure. A lot of the crazy insane, like there'll be conspiracy theories heightened, I'm sure, with this energy because it's Pisces. We think of illusions and delusions, right? So this is to be expected because it's Neptune at 29. On the 6th, May 6th, the moon enters Taurus. Now, this is important. This is important because it increases our emotions and our emotional security. Taurus tends to be peaceful energy, right? It wants peace. It tends to be calm and stable, reliable, dependent. It might be a little slow moving, so we can understand how, when people make fun of the government in terms of, oh my God, it takes forever. Well, think of the earth signs. The first one is Taurus. It's very slow unless it's charging, right? It's slow. It barely even moves. And then you think of Virgo. Oh my God, all the goddamn paperwork and the details, right? And then you think of Capricorn, all the damn rules and the structure and the regulation and the order, and there's someone in charge, right? So you understand there's all these earthy things, and we get the moon now on the 6th in Taurus. So we think of our values again, we think of Venus again. Now, you see here that there's a lot of energy in Taurus, right? But if you look closely, the sun at the beginning of the week is at 9 degrees. Okay? 9 degrees. The sun moves 1 degree a day. 1 degree a day. Venus is moving at about the same speed. Mhm. So what happens when Venus and the sun get close? When they get within 10 degrees of each other, Venus it becomes combust. It's like Venus's power is gone, right? So what is that going to mean? All the keywords, everything we talked about at the beginning of the video, it was for nothing then. But that's not entirely true. Yeah, I didn't even talk about this stuff, right? We still got Jupiter and we still got all this huge stellium in Taurus. It's a huge stellium. Okay. So all is not, for nothing, right? There's some power behind that. And the moon, which is why I started this. The moon by the 6th enters Taurus. It stays in Taurus for 2.5 days. So that tells us that like the 6th, the 7th, like the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, there's a couple of days there where you might be really feeling and receiving the Venus love because she likes gifts. She likes to go shopping. She's in Taurus. So food's a big deal. The earth's a big deal. Money's a big deal. Like the Venus themes are a big deal. Taurus themes are a big deal for those days. All right. Um, the other thing I wanted to talk about real quick is the word I have written here. I didn't get to address it, but we're going to talk about it in another video, but I'm just going to give you a heads up. Librarians. We have Sedna here. Sedna is at 0 degrees in Gemini. Okay. And so these are wounds to the keeper of the knowledge, the keeper of the books, feminine energy typically. Okay. Librarians being threatened. I mean, this is across the United States, and it's Gemini. This is your local community. I don't know about y'all, but when I grew up, oh my God, the library was a place of safety, a place of knowledge, a place like no matter what was going on in the home or no matter what kind of a neighborhood you lived in, you could take your kids and you could go to the library and you could spend the day there. So the librarians being under fire, the librarians, like I said, being threatened, not just by the legislation in some states, but like they're receiving threatening emails and death threats. Like they're literally scared. And it's just a damn shame that Sedna is in freaking Gemini. And I'm like, it dawned on me the other day. I saw Sedna and I said, holy shit, librarians. And I just thought, oh God, man, I thought, damn. So I'm going to have a little bit deeper dive of a video on Sedna at zero. Okay. And her being in Gemini, because she will trine Pluto, right? She will trine Pluto, right? So over here, this is the 7th, the very last thing to mention, we got a new moon. There's a new moon video already recorded. Hopefully I have it up before you see this video so I can leave the link down below for you. Yeah, it's not up on the channel yet because I'm literally recording this. I think I'm about a month in advance recording this video. The new moon is going to be in Taurus. So again, Venus comes out, right? And the new moon in Taurus, yeah, it speaks to a new beginning with values. And before I let you guys go, I want to change something on the screen real quick to give you a sneak peek. I'll go a little bit deeper on this because when you watch the new moon video, I'll go a little bit deeper on this, and I might have to have an extra video on this because I don't think I mentioned this in the new moon video for Taurus. I already recorded it, but I don't think I mentioned this, so maybe I'll have a separate video. Let me change my screen out here. I said a new system being set up, a new value, something new beginning, banking, because it's Taurus, something new with the earth, because it's Taurus, things with food, right? Yeah, because it's Taurus for sure. This was what I wanted to show you. This is a website, so I can't mark this up. The United States Federal Reserve. This is their website, federalreserve.gov. Payment systems /FedNow.